What's up, everybody? It's Mr. Movie X Kicks, and this is going to be the review of Spider-Man Remastered for the PlayStation 5, coming up right after this. Spider-Man Remastered. Now, Spider-Man is one of my all-time favorite superheroes, next to Captain America. Those are just two always been my guys. Now, I'll get a lot of flack for this, but I played the original Spider-Man 4. The original Spider-Man for PlayStation 4, but apparently I just wasn't feeling it when it first came out, and so I stopped playing it like not even like halfway through. I barely made it through like one of the first missions, and I was just kind of like, I just wasn't feeling it. So I'm kind of a hypocrite, but at the same time, I'm not, because I kind of came back to finish it. But I got the Miles Morales Spider Man for the PlayStation 5, and I did that review. I'll put the link in here as well. And so I was like, wow, like I really like this Miles Morales one. So I'm like, I'll have to love the original Spider Man one. And I went back because actually the edition I got for Spider Man came with it. So the remastered version came with it. So I downloaded that and played it, and I just have to say, like, I was so in love with the game. Like, I don't know what drugs I was on the first time around to not really finish or complete this game. Now, the one thing I will say, the good thing I did about it was the one thing I did not finishing it was getting it on PlayStation 5 to see how the elevation of the graphics were. Like, a lot of people kind of got flack on the graphics. They say like he looks totally different, but I just love the graphics on the PlayStation 5. Like, you could just see like the pores in their skin and how realistic the game looks and feels on the PlayStation 5. Like I said, now I did play it on the PS4, and I would just have to say, like, everything from the fluidity of the game was just elevated on the PlayStation 5. Now, for those who have not played it, the game follows Peter Parker, and it's actually several years into him being Spider-Man. He's almost 7, 8 years in to being Spider-Man. So the thing that I love about the game is that this game didn't shy away from all the villains that we are so love. Rhino, Scorpion, Shocker, Vulture, Dr. Octavius, the Kingpin. Like, all these villains were just kind of in this game, and I just was kind of like, damn, like, you almost were getting OD overtime of villains, and I love that game. I love that aspect of the game. But the game mostly follows, obviously, Peter Parker as his trials and tribulations through Spider-Man, as far as being Spider-Man, to working with Dr. Octavius to come up with a new form of kind of robotics to help cripple people, and kind of expand on the future of robotics, if you will. And in the midst of that, Dr. Octavius becomes sick and becoming the villain known as Dr. Octavius, or Doc Ock. And he has that versus with his mentor, who loves and respects. And that, to me, elevates the game, because he does something kind of so sinister, to kind of elevate the game. At one point, there's like a huge riot that goes on throughout the city because all the supervillains are let out, and Dr. Octavius is the one that's behind all this, and Spider-Man has to come fight. He has to rescue the city, he has to rescue the city from all the villains and a mad corporation, as oddly enough, which I never saw this one coming, but Norman Osborn is the mayor, and he has to deal with the mayor, secret security called Sable, who are these basically military, almost government agents who are coming to the city to kind of take over and kind of restore law and order back to the city, who Spider-Man actually fights with as well. So not only are you fighting with all the supervillains, you're fighting with Sable as well. And it's just like, sometimes you just kind of, you want to swing through the city, and you can't do that because everyone's shooting at you. But I will say that this game was so stretched out in a good length of time. It took me about, I want to say, full time, like 3 or 4 days, which I love, like kind of longer games, like, games that take at least a week or so to beat. It was kind of around that 4 or 5 days range, and I still have a lot of things to do. Like, there are a lot of side missions, and the one thing that I love about this game is that it kind of starts you off as Spider-Man. You don't have to do the backstory where everyone knows how his uncle dies. Everyone knows kind of like how he gets to the point that he's at now. A radioactive spider bit him We all know that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I get to the story. Now, the one things I will say for the ones that do not know about how he got to this, there's so many side missions that kind of, there's a side mission where you can get your backpacks throughout the city and you get collective tokens to kind of, raise your status and your points to upgrade your gadgets. And the good thing about this backpack is they give you like kind of like a time capsule of when he became first Spider-Man, when he did his first web shooters, when he did his first match against, when he was in the wrestling, when the day his uncle died. Like, there's so many different underlying lines of this game that I just kind of love, especially like, you always kind of want those games where you be like, give me the villains, and this game delivers with the villains. All the boss fights are just epic and they're so fun. It's sometimes you have to fighting two bosses at one. So, and not to get ahead of myself, but the thing that I loved about this game going back is seeing how he met Miles Morales. You actually get to see Miles Morales' dad before he is killed, and you kind of have that camaraderie between the father and respect and admiration that he has for his father until his untimely death. And so Peter wants to kind of take Miles under his wing as Peter and kind of help him out. He works at Feast. Feast is a kind of a soup kitchen, if you will, and he invites Miles to work there and to help out. And then Miles actually ends up getting bit by a radioactive spider and becoming Spider-Man. So it was good to come back and see how they kind of linked Miles into that game. Cause like I said, I never finished the first one, so I was kind of like, I was like, damn, why is Miles like just got his own game? So, but if I had finished the original one, I would really see how. And you actually do a couple missions with Miles Morales. So I was like, oh. And then also his love interest, Mary Jane Watson, who kind of pissed me off sometime because she was just such a snoopy reporter, and she goes around sticking her nose where it doesn't belong, and you have to play as her a couple times, and I was kind of like, those missions kind of pissed me off. But at the same time, the things I love about her and Peter work together, you could see on the flip side what it's like to be Spider-Man, what it's like to see him work. It was a scene in the game where she has to escape a place and he's there helping her out, and you got to silently take down the criminals, and he goes, get them, and he would just pull them up and wrap them up. So it was good to see in like, what's it like not being Spider-Man or looking at him do his work quietly. So, but all in all, I had to say, like, this game is a 10 out of 10. Like, it hit every marks on the checklist. Great story, great action, great suspense, great characters. You felt that presence of, which I always loved about Spider-Man, is that right from wrong. Like, no matter how dreadful things got, he always had this positive outlook of always trying to do the right things, even though like with Dr. Octavius, who was his mentor and a man he admired, he had to fight him at the end and take him down, and like that last fight scene with him was just so epic. Like, I was just like, you're on like the side of the building, you're on top of the buildings, you're on the side of the buildings, you're pressing O and X trying to dodge them. I'm just like, damn, like, this is the game right here. So I felt dumb for sleeping on the game for so long. Like, I wish I had played it earlier, but I'm kind of glad that I waited. Like I said, so I got it for the PlayStation 5. I got it with the upgraded graphics, so everything looked a little different for me, because everything is just so much sweeter. So if you guys like movie reviews, TV show reviews, video game reviews, sneaker reviews, think about subscribing to the channel. If you like what you saw, please give me a like, and please drop me some comments. Let me know what you guys thought about this Spider-Man game for the remastered version for the PlayStation 5, or the regular version for PS4 if you played that. Drop those comments, let me know what you guys thought. Until next time, guys, Mr. Movie X is out.